This is going to be a journey of spectacular scenery, feats of amazing human engineering, and myths and legends all added to the mix. But the thing that excites me most are the natural forces that conspire to create the Highlands of Scotland. My name is Kevin Elgello, and this is the Great Glen Way. It's a story that literally divided and connected the Highlands of Scotland. Now, Thomas Telford, he was a clever chappie. He had some serious challenges when he constructed the Caledonian Canal. And like I said, he did take advantage of 3 natural lochs, but nonetheless, the Caledonian Canal isn't flat. It's not like building a canal in the Netherlands where everything is clinically flat. Oh no, Thomas Telford had to deal with a gradient. And this was his first challenge, constructing Neptune's staircase.
Neptune's staircase was engineered by Scotsman Thomas Telford. He is no doubt one of the most celebrated civil engineers in British history. Born in 1757, he even has a town named after him, Telford in Shropshire. He played such a significant role in British engineering that when he passed away in 1830, the ceremony was held at Westminster Abbey, where a statue celebrating his life still stands today. Neptune's staircase was built around 1811. It's the longest staircase lock in Britain, lifting boats over 20 metres over a series of 8 individual lock gates, taking about 90 minutes for a boat to pass through the system. In 1822, the canal was finished. It had taken over 12 years to build at a cost of around £910,000. And in today's money, that's approaching nearly £150 billion.
I've just been thinking. I've been walking for a good hour now since Neptune's staircase. And I've been walking by the canal. And you have to remember this fact. This canal was dug by men, not by machines, by brute force, by shovel, pick and barrow. I just can't imagine the volume of tons of rock and sand and mud and peat and whatever that they had to remove. The physical toil that it took to construct this canal.
Collectively, by hand, over 4 million cubic metres of rock and stone alone was removed. That's like slicing 50 metres off the top of Scotland's highest mountain, Ben Nevis.
So the light is drawing in. It's approaching 6 o'clock. It's been a nice but long day. A little bit slower progress than I would have liked to make, but if you're making a film, and that's what I'm doing, as you know, it takes time. But nonetheless, it's been a lovely day. And I'm literally 100 metres from Moy Swing Bridge. It's the oldest surviving bridge on the Caledonian Canal. And if memory serves, it dates back to 1812. It's original cast iron. And probably the only reason why it has survived is because it has very, very little traffic, probably crossing from one farm to the other. So it's still hopefully going strong. It is a beautiful, peaceful place to be. Moy Swing Bridge is also going to be my home for the night. I was going to go that little bit further, but I've probably got really an hour of navigable effective light, perhaps a bit more. But obviously I'm going to have to film. And tomorrow I want to go to Commando Monument, which is about a couple of miles off route. It's a place with significant importance to some friends of mine, and I just want to go there. But tonight this is going to be my campsite. Respectful camping is allowed on most places on the Great Glen Way, provided of course you leave no trace. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just enjoy Moy Swing Bridge. Welcome to Gaelochi Bottom Loch. It's a really nice morning. It's a little bit damp, a little bit drizzly, but it's really, really nice. And I'm taking good advantage of this wooden picnic bench so I can have my second cup of coffee. But I actually thought it would also be a really good opportunity just to talk a little bit about mapping and guiding along the Great Glen Way. So what I brought with me on this particular trip is two things. Let me just show you. The first thing that I could mention is that I'm using a paper book from a publisher called Cicerone Press. It's a little bit heavy. It is also available on my mobile phone, but of course that will use my battery. But I really do love hiking with a guidebook. I never used to, I must confess. But what I actually find is that when you've got your guidebook, you can understand the world around you. You can just wreak a little bit of information about the places that you're walking past, and it just gives you an extra dimension to a walk. So I love taking a guidebook. They didn't give it to me, I bought both of these, but I just wanted to mention to you my personal feelings about hiking with some kind of reference. And I suppose the other reference that I've got with me is a paper map. And this is actually waterproof paper, and it's made by a company called Footprint. Now I love maps. I have a real map fetish. And one of the big questions that you could ask is, do you actually need it though on the Great Glen Way? It's extremely easy to navigate your journey. However, I would always say that taking a paper map is an essential piece of kit. Primarily, you understand where you are and where you're going, but more importantly, you understand your resupply points, and more importantly, in fact, essentially, you can understand your escape routes should there be a problem. So I would always advocate hiking with a map.
It was here at Gaelochi that I took my first big detour off the route to Commando Memorial.
This is a long walk off of the Great Glen. It's 2 miles. 2 miles from my original route, and then of course I'll have to do 2 miles coming back. But I really want to go to Commando Memorial. I really want to go there. I have been there before, but I've really been sort of looking into the history of World War II and the stories of the men that gave their lives and the sacrifices that they gave. So my mere 2 miles walk is nothing, absolutely nothing to moan about. That small pilgrimage to see Commando Memorial is definitely worth it.
The Commando Memorial was opened in 1952 by the Queen Mother. Standing just over 5 metres in height, it commemorates the men of the 1st British Commando Unit, a unit that played a significant role in defeating Nazi Germany.
That was a long hike from the Great Glen to this spot, but this spot is definitely a place to come and just reflect of the men who trained in these hills, who gave their lives in the Second World War to free Europe. What incredible brave souls.
Although the statue was built to commemorate British commandos, it has become a symbol of pilgrimage to many military personnel from all over the world, as a symbol of commemorating fallen comrades. With the Commando Memorial behind me, there was still more history to be found, and how this area was connected to the men who served in World War II.
Well, I've arrived at the Cameron Clan Museum. It is a detour off the way, as all the interesting little side attractions are, but I budgeted for this, and I've actually got here a little bit too early. I think I was too enthusiastic to get outside in the rain. They're going to be opening up hopefully in about half an hour or so. So I've got a little bit of extra time to go and explore the surrounding area. The weather is still Scottish, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to make the most of the Clan Cameron Museum and the surrounding areas that were pinnacle in the World War II preparations for the newly formed Commando units.
Achnacarry Castle, home of the clan chief of the Camerons, played a key role in training World War II commandos. On the estate, commandos trained in small boats, which can still be found today, simulating attacks that were necessary to liberate Europe. The training was as realistic as you could probably ever get, using live ammunition, including bullets and shells, fired by instructors skilled in shooting to miss, but not by very much. The private museum connects the history of the Clan Cameron from the 14th century to the present day. In fact, the day I arrived, a family from Baltimore in the US, bearing the name of Cameron, had travelled to Scotland just to connect with their ancestral past. The museum is small, but it's jam-packed with stories from the past to the present, from the 1745 Jacobite uprising to its connections to the former British Prime Minister David Cameron and the Oscar-acclaimed director James Cameron. This includes historic reproductions of the Titanic's first-class crockery used in the film Titanic. The museum visited, I now headed back out in the rain.
I really enjoyed the museum. I really felt that it was the right thing to do. I know I'm making this film, but I also thought, you know, do I really want to walk another 2 or 3 miles there and back off the track? And I thought, no, Kevin, make that effort, go there, check it out, and just immerse myself more in the history of the area. And it was worth it. But now the weather is still terrible. I'm making use of this little bird watching hut or whatever it might be. The plan is basically a long track through forest till I reach Lagan, some 6 miles north of here. I'm going to see how I go with time. I'm not doing too bad today. I guess when the weather is bad, it does allow for less filming, and of course that then speeds up my journey. When the sun is out, the drone comes out basically, and there's no drone flying today, that's for sure. So let's get back out in the rain and enjoy the 6 or 7 miles to Loch Lagan. No, not Loch Lagan. Yeah, Loch Lagan. Yeah, the Lochs of Lagan. My brain is soaking wet. The Lochs at Lagan.
Finally, the weather did improve and the drone came out just in time to reveal Loch Lochy. Covering 16 kilometres in length and up to 162 metres in depth, it was the first of 3 natural lochs that made the Caledonian Canal possible.
To the south of me is Loch Lochy, and just behind me is the recommencement of the Caledonian Canal, the canal that was physically dug by hand and engineered by Thomas Telford. Beyond that are 2 more lochs, and beyond that, in Inverness, is the North Sea. But I'm really happy to be here just for now. It's been a stunning day, terrible weather in the morning, stunning weather with blue sky in the evening.
At Lagan Lochs you have a choice of route, either towards the town of Inverness or along the shore of Loch Oich, and I chose the latter.
This is what I love about the Great Glen Way, these little quirky features that you have. And this tunnel is obviously part of the legacy with Inverness Station, just a few miles south. I just love it, especially when it's raining. I just had my lunch, but if I hadn't, this would have been a perfect place to shelter from the beautiful Scottish weather.
My route passed the historic bridge of Oich. The bridge was opened in 1854 and was used by traffic until 1932. It also marked the second of the natural lochs, Loch Oich.
This is Loch Oich. It's the second natural loch along my journey. But without it, the Caledonian Canal wouldn't have been possible. Thomas Telford knew that by using the natural resources of the land in the form of lochs were essential for him to complete his monumental journey. To put it simply, if the 3 lochs didn't exist, and this being one of them, the Caledonian Canal could have never ever been built.
I was now on the approach to Fort Augustus.
Now Loch is behind me, I'm back by the Caledonian Canal, and I still just can't believe that this canal was dug out with the brute force of men. No mechanical diggers, obviously then. But one big misconception about the canal is that it was built by Irish navvies, Irish labourers, specialising in digging navigation canals, hence the name navvies. And that's true, they did play a massive part in constructing the canal, but also they used local labourers, local men from the Highlands who had actually been pushed off their land because of the Highland clearances to make way for sheep farming. And these men also massively contributed to the construction of their canal, of the Highlands Canal. So it wasn't just the toil of the Irish navvies, it was in fact Scottish hands that also dug the canal. And when you think about it, every lump of clay, mud and rock had been physically removed by the toil of a shovel and a pick. They were true hard-working men.
I was now reaching the halfway point of Fort Augustus. Time to do some battery charging and some recharging of me. Next time on the Great Glen Way, I will explore the geological forces that created one of the world's most famous lakes in the world, Loch Ness. I'll be taking a step back in time to one of Scotland's most beloved castles, Urquhart. And could this be the strangest and quirkiest cafes and campsite in Scotland? And finally, I'll be approaching my end goal of Inverness. So please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned.